question to you. Can you win the presidency in America without so-called fat cat Wall Street super PAC money? The 2016 race may just answer that question for the first time. The three frontrunners breaking the mold so far: billionaire Donald Trump, retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson, and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, all raising money the so-called honorable way through small personal donations of less than $200 apiece, foregoing super PAC candidates, super PACs that candidates normally rely upon. This, as Sanders, in a new post-debate New Hampshire poll, keeps his lead over Hillary Clinton. Joining us now, Chris Hahn, former aide to Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer and a syndicated radio host, along with Ed Rollins, a Fox News political analyst and the former principal White House advisor to President Reagan. Gentlemen, this is a story about how small donors mean big leads for these three. We'll get into alleged connections with super PACs Donald Trump has, but for now he says he doesn't need people's money. Chris Hahn, I would say that it's Ben Carson and Bernie Sanders who are the real standouts here because they don't have any of that.
Well, Bernie Sanders for sure. I mean, Ben Carson is doing it kind of a circumspect way, doing a lot of direct mail fundraising, which, you know, has a lot of cost to it. But Bernie Sanders is clearly a movement. Look, when you're running for president and you're getting a lot of media attention, the rules don't always apply as they would for any other race, or if you're a traditional candidate that really needs to build an organization, really needs that big money pushing behind them. That said, when we get into the nitty-gritty of voting, organization matters, money matters, and really big money is going to matter when it comes right down to it. I'm sure Ed will agree.
Well, there's a book about this. Davids can beat Goliaths by playing differently, Ed. But what's the advantage of not bellying up to the so-called fat cat till?
Well, you get to run your campaign the way you want to run it. The problem when you do the super PACs is you have an alternative campaign that's out there that you can't have coordination with. Your campaign manager can't be talking to the people running your super PAC saying this is the kind of ad we want to put up there. So I think this is the first year we've really had the super PACs trying to run them full scale. The perfect example is Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush has a campaign with $100 million in California that's a super PAC, and he has a campaign in Miami that's running out of money. Miami is where his staff is, where his organization is, and obviously it's not working very well for him.
Right.
Okay, but the question, Chris, is can you win without super PAC and Wall Street money all the way through the campaign?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. I think you need organization. You need big money.
Ed,
I think
you need money. The bottom line is you need money. Now, can you raise money as Obama did and other candidates have with smaller donors? You can. You just have to. You have to get the big figures, and I think to a certain extent,
right.
So that means you got to have grassroots. The critical thing that's happening here with Carson and Sanders and what have you is they're getting the media time, and you can't pay for the kind of media time that they've had.
Right.
Yeah.
When you get to when you're doing
Trump.
15, 20 states, you got to buy your advertising, and you basically are competing.
Yes, and Donald Trump hasn't had to spend any money on commercials, gentlemen, because he's out there speaking to every news organization. He did so this weekend, and he said he wasn't blaming George W. Bush for 9/11, but it really came out that way. I want you to hear what happened on Mornings with Maria this morning, where Fox contributor and hedge fund manager Anthony Scaramucci finally spoke up, according to some people who said it's about time somebody talks down Donald Trump. Here's what Anthony said.
This is the type of behavior that you want running the presidency. Somebody has got to stand up and talk to the American people in a way that they'll understand and say, hey, this is not the guy.
Donald Trump blamed Jeb Bush's brother. That's what it came off to a lot of people, Chris. How is that going to go?
Yeah, you know, look. Nobody says it's his fault completely, but to say he kept America safe during his presidency is just not true. There was one day where we were really not safe, and I don't think Americans felt safe during that entire presidency, what was going on in this country. So, I mean, I think that there's a bit of a problem there for Jeb, and I think most Americans agree that, look, the policies of George W. Bush has made us less safe in the long run. And I think Donald Trump's actually been saying it very clearly.
Ed Rollins, you were the one who called Scott Walker leaving the race. Who's next to leave?
Well, I think there's several that should leave the race. They don't have money. We just got to report. The bottom line is polls don't matter and debates eventually don't matter. What does matter is money, just as we're saying here.
Right.
There are 6 or 7 candidates, including my old friend Mike Huckabee, who is a star on this network. There's no money. So you can't go on. You can't. It's a different
On the
game.
Democratic side, is there money for Lincoln Chafee?
No,
I mean, why is he still in the race
There's
here?
no one on that stage other than Sanders, who's got a grassroots outside the Beltway type of a campaign. campaign in Hillary that belongs. She's the only one that can be president on that field. In our group, there's probably 3 or 4 that can be president, and most of them ought to get out of the race right today and let it get down to a couple people against Trump at all.
Interesting. Chris and Ed, thank you very much. By the way, while you guys were talking, the Dow briefly touched the green side, so thank you.
Is that a good thing for us?
Exactly.